Hello fellow football connoisseurs and welcome back to the Quick Take. Chelsea just took on West Ham in a 5-0 victory at Stamford Bridge. We also have some news regarding the future of Poch and potential replacements come the summer review if he does get sacked. And we also have a massive update regarding Victor Osimhen. I'll get into that at the end of the video. But first, of course, the West Ham game. Coming to this game, I was somewhat unconfident. You know, we've seen Chelsea this season putting good performances and then the next game it to go completely out the window. We had a good performance against Tottenham, one of our best performances of the season. We looked liquid, we looked alive, we looked like we knew what we were doing. And so me, having been scarred from what I've seen throughout the season against Brentford, against Sheffield United, against Burnley, against Wolves, I could go on and on and on. Again, coming into this game against West Ham, I wasn't entirely confident. Of course, I was proved completely wrong as Chelsea walked through them 5-0. And in my opinion, they're probably the best performance we've seen from Chelsea this season. It's just a shame that these performances have started to come towards the end of the season when really, it could be argued, it might be too late. Chelsea are, of course, in the run for European football, but we did have a report coming in from David Ornstein that, breaking news, Chelsea are demanding that they finish in a Europa League position, not Conference League. Now, as the league table currently stands, Chelsea sit 7th. And at the moment, 6th gets you Conference League football and 5th gets Europa League, as you may know. We are currently 2 points off of Newcastle, who sit in 6th, and 6 points off of Tottenham, who sit in 5th. Tottenham are, of course, losing right now, but that's another story. Now, it is possible for Chelsea to finish in the Europa League if they finish 6th place, if Man City beat Man United in the FA Cup final. Of course, football is a strange sport, and I could actually quite easily see Man United winning that game. I know you may be thinking, TQT, you're delusional, you're an idiot, what are you on about? Listen, weirder things happen in football other than Man United winning a game against Manchester City, especially in a cup final when it's all to play for. They will also be hunting down a European finish, sitting behind us in 8th. But let's get back into the game. As I said, liquid football. I'm loving this Marc Cucurella role where he's inverting to play alongside Moises Caicedo in front of that back three, and then you got Conor Gallagher kind of ranging forward, and I think someone described it as a 3-2-2-3 formation. Very interesting, again, working in the half spaces. Was on the score sheet today, of course. Conor Gallagher getting on the score sheet along with Cole Palmer, along with the likes of Nicholas Jackson, and of course Noni Madueke, who had a fantastic game as well. The next few games for Chelsea are Nottingham Forest, Brighton, both away from home, and then the final game of the season, Bournemouth at home. So 3 very interesting games for Chelsea there. Our big competition for that 6th place spot is of course going to be Man United and Newcastle. Newcastle's games coming up are Brighton, as I said, Man United away from home. So they're playing Man United at Old Trafford, and then for their final game it is against Brentford. And then, of course, for Manchester United, Man United's last few games are Crystal Palace, a tough game there, Arsenal, a very tough game there, Newcastle, a very tough game there, and Brighton away from home, another tough game there. So I think Manchester United, their best chance of finishing in the Europa League will be winning the FA Cups. They're going to really push for that. Again, this is why I think that there is a chance United can prevail against City in that final at Wembley come the end of the season. And I think our biggest competition for that Europa League spot will be Newcastle. If they manage to beat Manchester United, I think Newcastle are in a very good position. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. To get through into that fantastic European spot. Of course, Europa League football, it's not the worst thing in the world, it's not the best thing in the world. We won it before, we won it twice in 2013, and of course before we won the Champions League in Eden Hazard's last season in 18-19. And when I say 18-19, I don't mean the year, I mean the season. But I do understand this position from the owners that, you know, Chelsea are demanding that they finish in a Europa League position. One, I think this helps Chelsea convince players that, you know, you will be playing in, not the Conference League, but you will be playing in European football next season. So that will help us negotiating against other clubs who are going for the same targets as us. Also, let's not forget, we have this big Air Jordan deal on the line. Of course, they want us to get Europa League football at a minimum in order to consider signing for us and having them on our shirts next season for a very Very good sponsorship. I think PSG's deal was around 60 million euros per season. So for Chelsea not to get Europa League football, not only are we missing out on the money that we get from the TV and stuff like that for, you know, competing in Europa League football, and also our bargaining a chip. You know, we have European football for you to play for. Come play for us. We'll be missing out on a massive sponsorship, and I'm sure the owners would want to stay far away from being in that position, losing out on more money, especially with FFP looming above our heads. Am I still Poch in, Poch out? That is the next part of the video. Yes, I am still Pochettino out. As I said, I don't think a few good results towards the end of the season should blind us to what we have seen and what has transpired throughout the season entirely. I think, yes, he should be given some credit for figuring out after 8, 9, 10 months in the role that maybe playing Marc Cucurella in an inverter role would help provide Caicedo with a bit more stability and allow us to be a little bit more flexible going forward and allow us to be more fluid in the attack. I also don't like some of the things he said this season, and I think that in order to build Chelsea into a more sustainable long-term club in terms of winning things, I think we need a different style of football other than transitional play, where we just control games and break teams down systematically. That is what I like to see in football. That's what wins you titles. Now, speaking about managers who could replace Pochettino at the end of the season, David Ornstein came out with a report of the 4 managers who will not be taking over Chelsea, and it has ruined my day because I spent the past week and a bit writing the script and putting together a video breaking down one of the managers mentioned. Breaking: managers who will certainly not be taking over Chelsea if a position becomes available are Ruben Amorim, Hansi Flick, who we talked about in the last video, who was heavily linked and was named as the frontrunner by CF Bayern, a very, very reliable source. Jose Mourinho, of course, I never expected that to happen. And Antonio Conte, who apparently offered himself to Chelsea, and there was some talks in the Italian media that we were in discussions with Conte. I never thought that was true either. So Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, those 2 names I had already written off. Hansi Flick, I did think there was a good chance. He's been seen at Chelsea games in the past. I think I think there's a drive to succeed in club football again. And of course, Chelsea, big club, a big opportunity to work with some exciting players. I think he would have taken the opportunity. And apparently his English isn't terrible. And then Ruben Amorim, of course, he has very good English, strong relationship with Jose Mourinho. I like the way he plays football. I like what he's done. I like what he's achieved over in Portugal. I think he's a fantastic manager, and I certainly would not be opposed to him coming in. But apparently he is not going to be a Chelsea manager if that role opens up. So that leaves us with a few names. Of course, Thomas Tuchel wasn't mentioned there. Thomas Tuchel, I would take him back in a heartbeat, of course. I think he understands what it means to be Chelsea more than anyone out there, other than maybe Jose Mourinho. I love the man. I think he's fantastic, and but I just don't think that would be something that would happen with these current owners and how that relationship deteriorated. We also have Thiago Motta from Bologna, who was doing fantastic this season. I'm just going to check out that league table in Serie A because they've actually had a fantastic season over there, working with, of course, lesser players than their opponents. But again, they're sitting in 4th place. They are going to be playing the Champions League next season. They are 1 point off of league titans Juventus, 6 points off of Milan, and of course, Inter have just walked the league, sitting 19 points clear after 35 games. They're ahead of Roma, they're ahead of Atalanta, Lazio, Fiorentina, even Napoli. But Napoli have been a bit off it this season. They've gone through manager after manager, and they haven't looked like themselves since they've lost Spalletti. But again, big news there. Hansi Flick and Ruben Amorim officially off the table if Chelsea do sack Mauricio Pochettino. Very depressing news for me. God's sake, I can't win, can I? Nagelsmann, not happening. Hansi Flick, not happening. Enrique, not happening. Ruben Amorim, not happening. But that does lead us on to the final news story of the day, and it is surrounding the striker situation. This came out late last night. Breaking: first contact between Chelsea and Napoli for Victor Osimhen. Chelsea's idea is 80 to 90 million euros, plus Romelu Lukaku, who has a release clause of I think 40 million euros, and a young player. Most likely Cesar Casadei, although I worried last night it may be Kendrick Paez, but I don't think it will be. I think it will be either Andre Santos, who has been linked with the move to the Serie A, and apparently the Serie A clubs think he'd do very well over there, and of course Cesar Casadei, who could become a bargaining chip, being played as a bench player. coming off with 10, 15 minutes left to play in the game, just to really get stuck in and provide some more energy in the midfield. Could be used as a bargaining chip to bring in the Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen, who's been linked to Chelsea for a while now. PSG can arrive soon also to open negotiations, but Chelsea are first to the scene. That's going to come from Demarcio, and I think that's quite important. Chelsea showing their willingness to get stuck in this deal very early. As I said, we're just starting into May. It's now the 5th. This was reported yesterday on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Hashtag ownersaver.com. And this is a deal that I'm sure Napoli will want wrapped up fairly quickly, especially if they can get a deal that they quite like. I don't see this going through. I think this will be rejected. I think they'll want more cash. Whether they want Lukaku is another thing. He has, of course, shown that he can be quite a good striker in the Serie A. I think it's very well made for him. A lot of people think that Osimhen's going to flop. I'm going to say it now, and you can click me up in a year's time. I think Osimhen's going to get 25 goals for Chelsea next season minimum. I just don't see him not reaching those levels. Unless he gets hits with loads of injuries, then that's out of my control. I can't predict that. But when you've got a team that is as creative and attacking as it is right now, and you got Cole Palmer behind you, you've got Enzo Fernandez coming through next season, fully fit Enzo Fernandez. He's had the surgery, he's not dealing with that pain anymore that he's been dealing with since December. You got Moises Caicedo feeding through balls through. You got Reece James back, fully fit and ready. You've got Marc Cucurella coming out of his shell. You got Mykhailo Mudryk running down the line, putting balls into the box. Maybe he goes out on loan. Maybe we bring in another player who's very creative, like Nico Williams, or maybe we bring in another player who's incredibly creative, like Xavi Simons. There's so many things that can go right next season regarding the striker situation and how many chances he's going to be given. And if you give those chances to Victor Osimhen, I think that is a recipe for success, and I can't see it failing any way. I think he is him. I think he has the motivation behind him. I think he understands exactly what it means to wear the Chelsea shirt. Of course, his idol Didier Drogba, he's been whispering in his ear for the past, I don't know how long now, convincing him that Chelsea is the side to join. And I think he'll want to prove himself as the best striker in the world. I think he'll want to really make his mark in world football and cement his legacy as one of the best African strikers to ever play the game. So, Chelsea 5-0 against West Ham. Do you think we will get Europa League qualification, or do you think we will bottle it in the final few games? I have a very bad feeling about Brighton. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below regarding the other news. Of course, Ruben Amorim not coming to Chelsea. Who do you think will be the Chelsea manager if Poch is sacked? De Zerbi, Tuchel, Motta, Potter? Maybe not. And let me know your thoughts on Victor Osimhen, flop or not. As always, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. I've been The Quick Take, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.